Why coaching?
I love to help people.
Oh,
Not much more gets me as excited as to really helping somebody tap into their own potential and play so much bigger.
hey, this is Deb, and this is Happy Hour with Deb. And today I have the one and only, the great Craig Siegel on the show with me today. Craig, welcome to Happy Hour.
Thank you so much. There's no place in the world I'd rather be than right here
Right.
with you. I'm
Oh,
fresh with that jacket. My state is elevated. Let's have some fun.
let's go. Right. I love that. I love high energy. Thank you so much for being here. Like, I have some notes because I don't even, I mean, coach, marathon runner, 10x speaker, author, Wall Street bestseller. Like, tell me how this got started. So I know you had a job on Wall Street,
Yeah.
and then
It's funny.
all of a sudden the mood was like bomb, bomb, bomb.
Funny you said the word job, and that just like it made me feel some type of way because that's really what it was.
Right.
So give your listeners a little bit of a background story. I spent 13 years on Wall Street prior to the pandemic, and you can just imagine the energy of Wall Street. It's a lot of ego, consciousness,
Yeah.
desire to receive for the self alone. And I wouldn't change a thing. I learned a lot. I had some good experiences, but ultimately, after leaving the stock thing and starting my own business, which was still on Wall Street and it was lucrative, I just found myself really disconnected and out of alignment to what I was doing. It felt more like a job than a calling.
Wow.
And so when the pandemic happened, I just looked at that as a once in a lifetime opportunity to reassess. If not now, then when? And I got really spiritual and connected. I would say creator, someone else might say divine source, God, whatever the thing is. And I was able to channel some really special downloads. And one of the downloads is that I'm obsessed with personal development. I've always been for about 20 years. I can't get enough of just expanding who we are, elevating our mindset. And so I considered maybe that is why I'm here. Because the Wall Street thing, although I might be good at it, I felt like a gladiator in the wrong arena. And
Uh,
so I started more of these downloads when I had that white space. I realized I could communicate pretty effectively. And so I decided to start my CLS brand with no celebrity friends, no followers, no connections, but a very, very deep desire to share wisdom with the world. And for the first time in my life, I was in alignment. And then over the last 3.5 years, all the accolades and milestones that you just said, having fun, making more money, and most importantly, making a massive difference in the world.
that's so amazing. I have a similar story. I switched careers. I went back to school during the pandemic because I was going to a job, right? Same thing. And I had this cup that needed to be filled. So I did the same thing. And you know what? I'm so proud of you because I hear so many still people talk about the pandemic, and to them it's like, oh my God. And I'm like, to me, it was really a wonderful time because it got me back in touch with really who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do.
100%. And I think we all need that white space to take some time to reassess because when we're just in the grind, go, 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 we can't actually allow and receive those downloads, those
Absolutely.
divine direction that can propel us on the right path. So for me, if I'm being honest, the pandemic kind of forced that. But now from my experience, I know that's actually something we should proactively put time in our calendar to do is to have that white space to really connect.
Right. I tell people to schedule joy. Like, I don't care if the joy is going and
Ooh, I
sitting in.
like that.
Thanks. You can use it
Schedule
anytime you want.
joy.
You can use it anytime you want. I tell people to schedule joy, even if the joy is going to sit on a park bench and just like letting the world go away for a little bit.
To be honest with you, that right there are the real needle movers because then you can really, like I said, get those downloads and plot and plan and strategize. It's hard to do that when you're just in the grind and being busy all the time.
Right. And it's also, running a company, you're not just doing your job. You're switching hats doing every single human being's job, which is chipping away at what you're really so good at. Typical client.
It ranges. I would say most people for one-on-one capacity are people that are very successful here in the 1% world, but are looking for something more like significance, right? People that are making money doing their thing, but they want to be connected to something bigger, something more purposeful. That's typically who I work with on a one-on-one capacity, and that can range from anyone from entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, business people, and everything in between. We also have a community for that's a little bit more all over the map for anybody that's looking to better their life in any capacity, whether that's money, branding, business, relationships, and everything in between. So anybody that wants to improve, I typically resonate with.
That's great. That should be like every single human being, right?
Right.
I can
Right.
only imagine. So, do you do a lot of group coaching, or is it mainly one-on-one? Do you host like webinars and those
Oh,
kind of things?
yeah, we
Okay.
have a signature program, our CLS membership. It's hundreds of people in there. We meet every Wednesday and we speak about all things personal development, business, strategy, relationships, spirituality, everything in between. And then I also do much more exclusively one-on-ones. We do pods where it's a few people on a similar trajectory in one vessel and so forth. So I do everything. Obviously, the one-on-one I'm a little bit more selective with because a lot of time and energy goes into those. But nothing is more exciting for me than be able to go really, really deep with somebody and take them to the next level.
Wow. Let's talk about the podcast.
Let's do it.
Major success this podcast is.
Yeah.
What made you start it? How'd you start it? I mean, I know how I started mine because I had this message that everybody has a superpower. You might not know it, but people should be celebrated. And that's the reason why I started my podcast.
Beautiful. When I started my brand, I created a strategy, kind of like a 10-lane highway, with each lane representing a different way to make an impact and obviously do business. So, for example, coaching, speaking, TED Talk, book deal, podcast, and so forth. And the podcast was something I was always very excited about. And my intention was I would have a vessel to create meaningful conversations with really, really successful people to break down how they did it. How did they overcome rock bottom? What was the mindset? What was the conversations in their head? And it's also, there's nothing better than to be able to have those deep conversations and have the ability to go really, really deep below the surface.
Agreed.
And I think the podcast is a great platform for that. And also, if I'm being honest, it's a good excuse to be able to connect with people that you might not else have the opportunity to have a great conversation on the podcast. And so I take pride in doing a really, really good job in building rapport, and a lot of our big guests have shared it. And so it just took off. It's a 0.05% podcast on the planet right now, the CLS Experience, and it's something that I find a lot of joy in.
Yeah, it is an amazing podcast, and it is. I find the same thing. It was very fulfilling to me you have people in a state that are essentially strangers that you didn't know until then, and for them to share their life, like it's a humbling experience for someone to come on the show and share their life experience. And ideally, it's so amazing for the audience because most people are like, how do I get to be a Craig Siegel? You know, how do I do this? And they get a little bit of your world and a little bit of, you know, let's go, your attitude and your spirit and your energy. So everybody leaves feeling, you know, this high energy, this great stuff. Like, I think it's just an amazing way.
Contagious. I think that you'll get better ideas. You'll look at challenges as opportunities. That all comes from being in the right frequency, from having a good energy. And I think there's opportunities everywhere for everybody, especially going to New Year, if your perspective is one of which that's open to see them.
Yes. Talk to me about gratitude.
Where do I begin?
Yeah.
I think there's a big difference between appreciating something and living in a state of appreciation.
Yes.
Because one of the best ways to constantly manifest and create anything that you want to call into your movie or into your life is to be in a state of appreciation. It's just magnetic. Most people I experience are in a state of scarce. They don't think there's enough for them. They think if they spend money over here, well, then it's not available over here. And that's just incorrect philosophy.
It truly is, right.
Yeah.
And the investment in yourself is the best investment you'll ever make.
Amen.
Yeah.
And staying grateful and being appreciative is a cheat code to continuously being a portal to expansion and being able to manifest and create anything that you desire.
Do you talk about that in your group? In your groups? I've joined your community, by the way, and now I'm so inspired. I'm like, wait a minute, where's the message? Joined your community. So I think it is really inspiring. I think that is such a great way to start the day. You know, everybody goes to bed thinking, oh, tomorrow's going to be the worst day. I wake up every day like, let's go. Let's go. The possibilities are endless today.
The possibilities are endless every single moment, actually,
Yes.
if you can be present, right? A lot of people are thinking about later or before. The best way to create manifest is to stay grateful and present. Like right now, me and you, all I care about in the world is this conversation, connecting, building a rapport, dropping some nuggets. Hopefully, it helps a lot of people. When you're in that state, anything is possible.
Yes. And I think that's the most thing is we live, I tell my clients, stop climbing that what if mountain. Like, what if there's not enough money? What if, like, we worry about today, because so many people build that. And of course, that's an impossible mountain to climb, right? Like, if you're looking from the bottom up, but if you're staying focused and you're staying in the present and being grateful, then it's just, your life just opens up. Who's the greatest conversation you've had with on a podcast besides me, Craig?
Oh, it's funny. People always ask me that, and I think they're looking for like a big celebrity name. The truth of the matter is I love all the conversations, and a lot of people will surprise me. Some conversations you're not sure what to expect. You end up going really, really deep and create the most magic. I had a conversation earlier this week with a billionaire, and he was so humble. And the way that we talked about scaling a company and what it takes to get your life to the next level, that was one that sticks out just because it was really recent.
Right.
But to be honest with you, the podcast is so important to me. I know that you can relate to this. It's almost like the guests are your babies. So
I protect them with my life. Like, I celebrate
100%.
them. I stay in. I met their families. It's incredible.
That's right. I think my favorite conversation is my most recent, and it will always be like that.
Right. That's great. I feel the same way. On the days that we shoot, I'm so excited because what an honor to get these nuggets, as you call them, which I'm going to use that. I like that, by the way. And you're going to start celebrating joy. So, and I like it. I think it's such a good way for people. And, it's really funny. When I started the show, I feel like everyone's like, oh my God, you're going to have a podcast? Like, all of a sudden you were going to be, on Broadway. I was like, it's a podcast. But it is such a great way to connect with people.
But I want to acknowledge you for a second, because you say it's just a podcast, but there's first of all, podcasts are huge these days.
Huge.
In fact, any big celebrity that's promoting a movie or running for president or has a book out, their first stop nowadays is a podcast over sometimes the media appearance. But most people like the idea, but the statistics show that most people quit after like the first 6 episodes because it's fun and exciting until they have to think about, oh, wait a minute, who's going to be my next guest?
Yes.
So there's something to the discipline, the commitment, and the consistency, and I see you doing that. I want to acknowledge you.
Thank you so much. We're coming up on a year, so it's been,
beautiful.
I can tell you, one of the greatest experiences of my life. I've met people that have moved me just emotionally and personally and have made me a better person. So I'm grateful for every single person that I meet. And, it's a crazy how the world just starts to bring people into your universe at the time when you need them. And I think it's just
No
a wonderful.
coincidence.
Yeah, no, you're right. No coincidence. So tell me what this is going to look like in 5 years.
When you say this, do you mean my life?
I mean
CLS?
your life. I mean the podcast. I mean your running. I mean all of it.
Yeah, so I just got married.
Congratulations. I didn't know that. Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm really excited about that, enjoying married life very much. The marathons are cool. The business, we started this thing in the pandemic and we've grown really fast. And one thing that I've doubled down on in the last year and a half is my spirituality.
Yes.
Specifically the wisdom of Kabbalah. I just love it. It's made me such a more expansive, better human being. And bringing that into the business has been the biggest game changer. Right now, something I'm really working on is surrounding myself with rock stars, because obviously, growing a brand and a business, you can't do everything yourself.
You can't.
And so in 2025, I'm looking to take this thing to just a whole nother level. And what I mean by that is really just reach and impact and help so many more people. So that's the first priority. And then I know as we continue to do that and keep hitting doubles, you don't always have to hit home run, just double up every single year.
I love that. That's so great, because people think you have to shoot it's okay. Just doubles.
Yeah.
You're right. It will get you anywhere you want to go.
Just doubles.
Yeah, it's so true, because I think that's the what if mountain. I'm like, no Olympic athlete. We all started out crawling.
Yeah. Deb, what about you, if you don't mind me asking? Where are you taking this thing? What's the agenda for you?
Well, I love this podcast so much. I have to tell you, it just and I like to meet somebody like you, like, it's such an honor. So I want to keep expanding the podcast. We shoot here in Nashville, so we've had a lot of amazing entrepreneurs, mostly country music, and I have to tell you, they fill my cup because they come in here with a dream. A dream and I've been able over the year to watch them grow and meet their families, and it's been such an amazing ride. And as far as the coaching, I want to leave people better than when they came to me. And the coaching is about energy and confidence and motivation. And I've worked a lot with trauma, recurring childhood trauma and addiction. And the biggest thing for me, Craig, is when somebody is like, I see them step into the life that was meant for them. I see them living in their potential and dropping all the other stuff. And it's if I could do it for free, Craig, I would. It is such an amazing.
That's how you know you're on. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're on the right path. The truth of the matter is making a lot of money, more money than I even made on Wall Street. But I would do this for free because
Yes.
I love it and I love to help people and I love to share with no agenda. And then typically, when you do that stuff from the right consciousness, you end up making a ton of money doing it. So
Yeah.
I love that you said.
Well, the
that's how
money
you know
comes,
that-
I think, right? I mean, just the simple
100%.
things of checking on clients on Thanksgiving and them being like, no one checked on me today. Thank you
So let
for
me ask you,
always being there.
if you just came into a lot of money, let's say you won the lottery, won $1 billion, would you keep doing what you're doing right now?
Absolutely, 100%. I would do it more because I
Alright.
wouldn't have to worry about the little stuff.
Beautiful. I love it. And I feel the same.
Absolutely, I would. And as a business owner that, you're hoping you're just in your space, but sometimes you're fixing every other space. So,
100%.
yeah, and
Beautiful.
it's all about building the right team, and that's the most important thing to me because I know I'm only as good as the people that surround me. And I believe in a team. I love a team. It comes through in the show, it comes through in my coaching, and I think coaching is the greatest thing. And when I see people, it brings me to tears, Craig, to see people reclaim the life that was meant for them.
Yeah.
It's
Beautiful.
It is.
Love
It's such an incredible thing,
Yeah.
So what
I feel
is
this-
like? So I know you have so many guests. The podcast you're going to keep going. How long have you been doing the podcast?
I don't know, maybe a little over 2.5 years,
Okay.
maybe 3. To be honest,
Okay.
I lost track of time.
I
just love
know.
this stuff. I know we recently dropped episode 300.
I watched your podcast on the plane on the way here, and I must tell you, I love energy. Everywhere I go, people say Deb has such great energy, and if we could bottle Deb's energy, and it's such a compliment to me because it just kind of comes to me naturally, thank God, right? But I love your energy is so, and your book, and you leave wanting more.
Beautiful. Thank you for saying that.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. And I think it is just an incredible, it's an incredible ride. And congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So
We're just
what
getting
was
warmed
the
up.
pivotal moment during the pandemic? You said your father was sick, that you're like, that's it. Because I hit a point where when the pandemic hit and I was going through a very long divorce, and I was like, you know what? I am not living in this space. I was meant for more. Whether who believed it. And I can tell you, it was a little scary, Craig, because I was like, oh, people are going to be like, well, she always did this and now she's doing this. But I was like, I need to speak my truth.
Look, at some point, hopefully you get to a place in life where you realize that you're here for something much, much more.
Yes.
And then you need to be brave enough and have the courage to go deeper and try to identify what that is. And once you have a glimpse of it, you have to test it out and share it with the world. And so for years, I knew that I was here for something more than Wall Street. Nothing against it. I have just outgrown it. And I wanted to really make a difference in the world. And not to sound cliche, but leave the world a little bit better than I found it.
That's the way
And
I
so-
am. I'm like, if one person is better.
Everybody's, just to be clear, everybody is here to do something unique and special
Agreed.
with their own gifts.
Right.
And they're not our gifts that were given to us. We're the managers of them.
Yes.
And one of the reasons why we're here, according to our soul, is to identify what those gifts are and share them with the world.
Yes.
And so I'm very blessed to have been able to identify that at 35 And I can't get enough of life right now.
I feel the same way, like every day. My husband calls me Buddy the Elf. He's like, she's up. What's your favorite color? he's like, it's your season. You can go. I've never met a stranger either. Like, I've been to weddings of people I've met on planes, because I feel like no matter how educated you are, you don't know anybody if you don't know anything if you don't talk to people.
Mm.
You know,
So true.
my daughter is 26, and I took her everywhere. I took her to the streets of New York to sit with, you know, homeless people. I took her to the greatest restaurants. I took her to dive bars so that she knew what levels of life were, and, you know, how corely we're really all the same. You know, so it was really important for me to show her that, you know, you can do and you can be anything you want. And, you know, we're very blessed. The gratitude thing is very important to me, because some days are bad.
Yeah. I would just want to encourage everybody, all your listeners, every time you ask questions, you create a vessel, open up a door for possible energy. Most people don't ask enough questions. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're feeling just a little bit inspired, but you're not sure what to do, I would just start asking the questions of what else is possible.
Yeah.
And just by opening that door, now we're available
It says
for the
time.
download.
I can't thank you enough. Your work is incredible. Your energy is far, and you are just one of the nicest guys. So I can't thank you enough. And I know I'm going to ask this, and no one's ever told me no, so don't break my heart. Will you come back and talk more about how we're inspiring people and letting them fulfill their biggest dreams?
I feel as though we only scratched the surface. I would love to come back and go deeper with you.
I would love it too. I can't even tell you, Craig, how much I appreciate you. Congratulations. I wish you the longest, happiest, most fulfilling love. I love being married. To me, it's like having your best friend next to you every single day.
Agreed. Thank you for saying that.
Yes. Well, she's a lucky woman, and I'm sure you're a lucky man. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
I believe it. Thank you for having me, Deb.
Thanks, Craig. It's been an honor.